And welcome back to my little corner of the internet. My name is Jen, and today I thought we would do something slightly different. I have seen this around the internet before, and I thought I would do my take on it. It is me talking about a teen TV couple. To preface though, the couple that we're doing today technically isn't from a teen show in the sense that the show was never on the CW, the WB, the UPN, the ABC, the XYZ, because I'm now realizing most teen TV shows were actually on a channel that only had 3 letters in the alphabet. But technically, they also are not a couple in the sense that they never got together. However, I did feel like there was enough stuff for me to actually work with. Now, when I was going through trying to figure out couples, this one stuck out to me. I don't know. I don't know whether it was because I felt they needed more love, or whether it's because I'm still bitter that the show actually got cancelled before we actually could see them together as a couple. But so I can stop yapping on about my intro. The couple we're actually doing today is Luke Patterson and Julie Molina from Julie and the Phantom. So to begin, we actually need to go back to 1995 to a band called Sunset Curve, made up of 4 members: drummer Alex, bassist Reggie, rhythm guitarist Bobby, and lead guitarist and vocalist Luke Patterson. They are the band Sunset Curve, and they were about to get their big break playing at the Orpheum. However, before they could actually make the gig, they were there, but before the gig even started, 3 of the members, Luke, Reggie, and Alex, went to go and get something to eat. However, they ended up eating some ranchered street dogs, and they kind of met their maker, shall we say. Move on to 25 years later, so it is now 2020, and we meet Julie Molina. Julie has been struggling big time. Her mum died a year ago, and she has just been kicked out of the accelerated music program at her school because, she refuses, basically. She refuses to perform. And so the teacher kind of had no other choice there. And that is actually how they meet. She ends up going to her mum's old studio, and she finds the Sunset Curve CD, which she puts into a CD player, and the boys, being Reggie, Luke, and Alex, magically appear. And let's just say it's not the best meeting. And rightly so. Julie has been freaked out because these 3 boys magically appear in her mum's studio, and the 3 boys appear thinking that time has not passed and that it is still 1995, and I think an hour at most has passed in all of this. So naturally, it's not the best meeting. Both of the parties are actually really, really freaked out. So later on, Julie freaks out and she runs out of the studio without really talking to the boys or finding out anything about them. But later that night, actually, she comes in to yell at the boys, telling them that not only her dad, but the entire neighborhood can hear them playing, which the boys are actually really happy about because they know because they're pretty sure that only Julie can see them, but everyone can actually hear their music, which is all they want, is just for people to hear their music. Julie storms out after telling the boys that she wants them out of the studio, and Luke follows her. It's here that Julie admits that she's had a bad day, and Luke admits that him and the boys have had a bad 25 years. But he does ask if she is a person that plays music in the studio. Julie admits that it is actually her mum's, but her mum has passed away. It's here that Luke gives his condolences, but also says that they found a song that was on the piano in there, and that if it's a song that Julie's mum wrote, it's actually really, really, really talented. And she was really talented because it's a great song. Luke then asks if Julie plays, to which Julie admits she does not play, nor does she sing, which is a downright lie because about 10 minutes later, she actually ends up both singing and playing the piano. And she is really, really good. So it's not until later that we actually get our next scene between Luke and Julie. They are in a kitchen, and it's here in Julie's kitchen, actually. And it's here that Julie admits to Luke that she wants to get back into the accelerated music program. However, her teacher told her that there was no chance of her doing that now and that she would have to wait to reapply next semester. Luke, however, being Luke, is not having it. He tells her that rules were meant to be broken. Words to that effect, okay? He tells her that rules were meant to be broken and to basically do her own thing, going on to explain that that is how Sunset Cove got to where they were, by playing gigs all over the place and by not taking no for an answer. He then eventually convinces her to sing one of Sunset Cove's unreleased songs called Bright.
And we will fight to shine together and go up high and bright forever. Yes.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, but Troy and Gabriella this is one of the very many reasons that I love Luke and Julie. Mostly because you can see this is the first time that they've even sung together. Like, she really doesn't trust him. He really doesn't trust her. But when they sing together, I don't know, there's something about the way he looks at her, the way she looks at him. I just love when they do their musical performances together, particularly one song that I will get into later. Luke eventually does convince Julie that that is the right choice to do and that the right choice to make is to sing Bright. And she ends up singing it at a school assembly. The boys magically appear behind her, and then they all perform, do incredible, to the point where the principal convinces the teacher to let Julie back into the accelerated music program. So after the performance of Bright, the boys vanish because they're ghosts, and the only time people can see them is when they are playing their music. Julie, however, covers for them, explaining that they are actually holograms, which I don't get why people were like kind of more wondering what was going on with that, but hey, she convinced him of that she did. It's here that Sunset Curve decide that they want her to be part of the band, that she is extremely talented, and that she would be, if anything, an asset to the band. An asset to the band. They invite Julie, but at first she declines because she's having issues with her best friend, Flynn. And rightly so. Flynn knows that Julie is hiding something, namely the 3 ghost boys that she has. Flynn knows that Julie's hiding something, namely the 3 ghost boys that she has, that she plays music, namely the 3 ghost boys that she just played music with. However, Julie doesn't know exactly how to tell her without sounding crazy. And so, rightly so, she isn't in the right frame of mind to be in a band at the time. However, through musical performance, Flynn eventually finds out the truth about the Phantoms. And it's here that she rightly tells them that Julie is not joining their band, they are joining Julie's band. Hence, Julie and the Phantoms is born. And later on, she does also call out Julie for liking Luke, which Julie does reply that, well, she doesn't really give a reply, but she does admit that he is cute, which I'm happy for, because we finally have the girl admitting that she at least finds him attractive. Like, I mean, that is a start, but also props to Flynn for like seeing like less than 3 minutes of Luke and Julie together, and already clocking the fact that Julie likes him. Like, Flynn is the best, honestly. It's here that everything kind of goes sideways, because Julie does end up getting them a gig at her school dance, one which the boys are pretty apprehensive of to begin with. However, Julie does convince them that it's a good idea. It's also around this time that they decide that they probably need to figure out what songs that they are going to play. Luke shows Julie his collection of Sunset Curve songs, and it's here that 2 things happen. Firstly, Julie notices a song about a girl named Emily, a girl that she is convinced Luke has a crush on. Secondly, it's also here that Julie realizes that the songs sound awfully familiar because they've all been done by a guy called Trevor Wilson. Now, Trevor is Julie's ex-best friend Carrie's dad. And as it turns out, he is also the fourth member of Sunset Curve, Bobby. Now, naturally, naturally, Alex, Reggie, and in particular Luke are upset because they never got credited for any of their songs. And so they decide that the best thing to do is to get revenge. So Julie is apprehensive, but then she tells them that they can do what they want to do just as long as they make it to the school dance by 9 p.m. because that is when they're going on. However, the boys get caught up in getting revenge and also going to some ghost club thing run by a guy called Caleb, who is not the best. I will admit, Caleb, yeah, he's not a good guy. And he basically puts a curse on them and wants them to be part of his club band. So because of all of this that has happened, they actually stand Julie up. When they eventually get to the school, the dance is long gone. Julie is there though, and she is rightly pissed off. Pissed off to the point where she actually quits the band. Now, we then cut to, I believe it's the next day, and the boys find out that there is like some live singing thing where they get people to sing live at what looks like a pizza parlor, but I'm not quite sure if it is. I think it's a pizza parlor. And it's here that they go tell Julie exactly what has happened in hopes that it entices her back. Julie, however, asks if this is important to them, and they agree that it is. And then she said that the school dance was important to her, and they never showed up. And then she declines working with them and leaves. But not before telling Luke that he only cares about himself. So it's here that we circle back to the Emily song for a second. Because Alex and Reggie decide that, sure, Julie may not want to be part of the band, but she has read Luke all wrong. And, I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, that she has read Luke all wrong. Which, I mean, to be fair, I feel like Julie was a bit harsh. Like, she has never known Luke's backstory or anything like that. And she's just instantly said that that he only ever cares about himself, when she's really only seen him interact with like 4 people at most, like 3.5, because I don't think he really interacts with Flynn all that much. So Alex and Reggie decide that if she's not going to be part of the band, fine, but at least let her find out more about Luke. So they take Julie to where Luke is, which, as it turns out, is his old home. We then meet Luke's parents, his dad and his mum, Emily. So, as it turns out, his mum and his dad were never that happy that Luke wanted to become a rock star, and he basically ran away. They did not end on good terms at all. And so Luke is obviously feeling very guilty, and he has come to look, to be with his parents, even if it's in ghost form, and to make it even more worse on Julie's part, I guess, it's actually Luke's birthday. And so they have like this cake for Luke and this candle that he blows out at first, and then the parents think it's the wind. And so they relight it, and then they blow it out, and then they all sit at the table together. And it's a thing. And Julie feels awful. And I mean, after watching that scene, I would too, really. And so she decides that she is going to rejoin the band. Now, they do end up playing the live gig thing, which actually is where like all of these talent scouts and managers and everything are going to be. However, she also got grounded because she missed 3 classes and an exam, I believe. However, she ends up sneaking out. The band does play, and they actually get noticed by a talent manager who goes up to talk to Julie. However, right as she just says her name, I believe, the talent manager just says her name and that she's a talent manager, Julie's dad comes in and basically yells at her, asks her what she's doing here, and tells her to get home. So Ray, who is Julie's dad, is feeling really guilty about not letting the town scout talk to Julie, even though she had clearly been grounded and had decided that she was going to forego the grounding and go out and play music instead. Ray, though, however, decides to throw a party so that he can film them and put it up on YouTube in hopes that that will get some kind of talent manager, talent scout, to actually notice them. It's at this point that Luke visits Julie's school under the guise of trying to figure out what song they're going to perform at said party. It's here that he meets Nick. Now, Nick is Carrie's ex-boyfriend and Julie's longtime crush. And so it's here that jealous Luke rears his head.
Well, he is just too cute.
Boundaries. I'll see you after school.
I guess we'll just have to carry you tonight, just like we always do. I know you're smiling.
And I absolutely love this scene. I love the fact that we finally get to see that Luke is feeling some sort of emotions towards Julie. Julie is clearly feeling some kind of emotions towards Luke. I love the fact that Luke is starting to flirt with Julie. Like, a lot of this scene was very much needed for the three of them. Well, maybe not so much Nick, but you kind of get the feeling that there is like a love triangle developing here, and so I feel like this scene will always be one of my favorites of all time. Like, I just love it so much. So we then get to Nick and Julie, and they have this like dance thing that they have to do, and it's here while they're being assessed for their dancing that Julie accidentally calls Nick Luke. And also while Nick and Julie are doing their dance, it's here that Julie actually imagines that it is Luke she is dancing with. So you can already kind of tell that Nick is slowly going out of the picture. Freaking out, Julie goes and talks to Flynn and explains exactly what happened. Flynn, though, tells her that Luke, cute as he may be, is a ghost, and there's not much they can do. Like, they cannot touch, they cannot anything. However, Nick is a real boy, and he's saying that she encourages Julie to invite Nick to the party that Ray is throwing. Meanwhile, Reggie and Alex also, they're basically teasing Luke about his chemistry with Julie, to which Luke says that he has chemistry with everybody, which, yeah, okay, he has chemistry with everybody. It's then that we get Edge of Great.
I believe that we're just munching away from what we're meant to be. That we're standing on the edge.
Now, I will say, every song in Julie and the Phantoms is a bop, but this forever will be one of my favorites. And for so many reasons. Like I said before, a lot of Luke and Julie's chemistry, like real chemistry, comes from when they are performing together. And you can't see it any better than you can in Edge of Great. Like, the two of them together, like Reggie and Alex teased Luke before, it's electric. Like, their chemistry is off the charts. I'm sorry. Not to mention, and this is my like a side gripe that I have momentarily, Edge of Great on Apple and Spotify. We don't get that incredible little guitar riff that I just played. Not on the recorded at all. I like gypped much. Hello. That is like one of my favorite parts of the entire song. But anyway, this is about Luke and Julie. This isn't about Spotify. So Edge of Great happens, and Nick is there watching, and I mean, when Nick even notices the chemistry between them, you know something is happening. So later on at school, Nick does ask Julie out. Julie, however, declines, and Nick asks if it's because of somebody else, to which Julie says that it is. I'm sorry, Nick, but clearly you had your chance and it's gone. It's also here that Julie realizes that Luke is actually really struggling. And so she goes to Luke's parents' house. And she goes to Luke's parents' house. She sees Luke out the front and she tells Luke that she can tell that he's struggling, but there is something that she can do. And so she talks to his mum and his dad, and he gives them, specifically Emily, the song that Luke wrote called Unsaid Emily. And this is like my second favorite song in the entire series. It always gets me. I guess if you listen to the song on its own, you'll just be like, oh, okay. Knowing the backstory to all of this and the video clip, all the scenes that kind of play while the song is being sung. Yeah, I'm sorry. This song will always have a special place in my heart. So later on, it's then that Luke thanks her for helping him with his grief, like about his parents and the fact that he left on bad terms, and says that they have a little interesting little relationship, which is, to put things lightly. So it's here also that Julie finds out that the boys have unfinished business. And it also means one of three things for Julie. So it means that the boys are going to pass over to the other side, that they're going to end up being part of Caleb's ghost club thing, or due to the curse, they're going to get zapped away, I guess. Vanished is the best word to use here. And she has this, rightly so, fear of losing her band. A band that has just gotten together, a band that is just starting to get off the ground, and a boy in particular that she's given up her ex-crush for. A boy that has just called what they have an interesting little relationship. Understandably, Julie has all these fears about not seeing the boys again, and at first refuses to help them. Eventually, she does decide to help, which means that the boys believe that their unfinished business is playing at the Orpheum, because that was the last thing they were going to do before they ate the street dog. Turns out that they know somebody who can get them into the Orpheum, or they know somebody that can talk to like a talent manager that can get them to the Orpheum. The talent manager ends up calling Julie, and they end up being able to open for Panic at the Disco at the Orpheum. And so they end up playing, and the boys almost don't make it. However, they do. But once they finish playing and they go to take their bows, the boys disappear once again. And Julie believes it is because they have passed over. Now, Julie girl, I love you so much, but after every performance, they disappear. So, okay, admittedly, I get why you might think that they did, but hey, whatever. We'll roll with it. So she actually goes back to her mum's studio where the boys are now staying and goes, I guess, to wish them a final goodbye, I guess, even though they're not there. Like I understand why she's there. So she goes and then she basically thanks them for everything that they did and, for being a great band or whatever. And it turns out that the boys have not passed over. However, they are still under the curse. So while they are talking, Luke and Julie go for a hug. And it turns out it's a real hug. So, I don't know. Does this mean that Julie was the connection all along? Who knows? Who knows? However, Luke and Julie can actually touch.
How can I feel you?
I don't know.
it's a beautiful scene. It gets broken up because the other boys all come and hug and they all get rid of their curse slash whatever. And we are left with a lot of questions because that is where the season ends, at least for Luke and Julie. So like I said, Luke and Julie only had one season. They weren't technically a couple, but what I love about Luke and Julie is that they came into each other's lives in a time when they kind of needed each other the most. So Julie came into Luke's life when he was grieving, clearly. Although, can he grieve as a ghost? I don't know, but he clearly was having issues about how he left his parents. But more so, Luke, and I guess the other boys, came into Julie's life when she really wasn't at her best. She was kind of at her lowest. She'd just been kicked out of the music program. And the boys came and they showed her how to love and appreciate music again. And they gave and brought life back into Julie. And I think that that is beautiful. Like the way that they both needed each other and how they helped each other and how they supported each other. Sure, maybe not at first, but then realizing that it was like the best option was to help each other and to be there for each other and to support each other. And honestly, I just love their chemistry. I think they have got incredible chemistry. And I love that they had the writing and the music that kind of shared connection to bring them together. What I didn't like, I think you can guess, is the fact that we never got an ending to this. Now, I know that it is based on a Brazilian, I believe it is, correct me if I'm wrong, show that only has 22 episodes. However, I'm pretty sure that the story that it is based on is different to what this is. Well, I think it is. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure. I may need to find that and watch it at some point. However, this is my biggest gripe, is the fact that we ended on such a cliffhanger. We ended on the two of them can now touch. And I'm not saying that they should kiss or anything. Well, actually, maybe I am slightly. But I'm saying that Julie's whole holdback was the fact that Luke was a ghost. And the fact that besides talking and playing music with him, there was not much else they could do. But now they can. Are they even still ghosts? I have so many questions. Not only that, I have questions about Nick too, who ends up possessed in the cliffhanger. I have questions about Trevor too, who finds out that the Phantoms actually are his old band, Sunset Cove. I have all these questions that we will never get answers to. And to this day, it's my biggest gripe, is the fact that there was so much potential there. And we could have done so much with them. I have so many questions, and yet to this day they remain unanswered. I don't know. I just feel like they've got so much potential as a couple. And had the show gone on, I would have loved to have seen where Luke and Julie had gone on. But that's it for my video. I figured it was an easier one for me to do because technically they weren't a couple and it was only one season, so why not start off easy here? But I hope you guys liked it. And if there was a season 2, what would you have liked to have seen happen between Luke and Julie? What would you have liked to have seen happen between any of the characters, really? Anyway, leave me a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.